Hello everyone. I barely made it here, and I'm so glad that you made it too. Today, I want to talk about light sources, and I'm going to go into a lot of details about the internal mechanics. So if you're the kind of player who likes to know the exact numbers behind these systems, this video is for you. So far, there's 3 systems affected by light levels. When light level is high enough, crops and trees have their growth time divided by 2. Grass needs light to spread. It won't spread at all in low light. And void enemies need low light to spawn. They won't spawn in high light. Some similar systems that are not affected by light are mushroom spreading and skeleton spawning animals and other hostile mobs. There's 2 different types of light sources. The first type of light that you get for free is skylight. Skylight starts at 0 before sunrise. It increases to 15 by noon and then decreases to 0 again by sunset. It's actually defined as a sine wave and then rounded to the nearest whole number, so it produces the step pattern. Weather doesn't seem to affect skylight level mechanically. I couldn't find anything in the source code about it, and my testing showed that skylight level didn't change with the weather. Well, this is how it's supposed to work, but it's kind of broken right now. Let me show you. So I've been letting time pass naturally in this world for a little while. It's about 10 in the morning in the game time. So everywhere should be light level 15 by now. But if we check, right here, the skylight level is actually still 0. So let me run around for a second. Okay, over here it's still 0. It's 8 right here. So it's supposed to be 15, but it's just 8. And it's 0 over here. I think this is the same chunk. Over here it's 1. And 0 again. Hopefully you get the idea. So the chunks just aren't loading the skylight level as fast as they should be, and if you imagine that you had plants out here, they wouldn't be getting any bonus. See, it's 9 right there. Finally, this chunk is 15. And we're back to 0. And the same thing also happens at night, so I waited for it to be about midnight, and there should be a lot of void enemies spawning by now, but as you can see, there's like 1 eye, a specter over there, 2 eyes, but not a whole lot. And that's because if I check the light levels here, this spot's 15, this one's 11, there's a 9, oh, 0, okay, so void enemies can spawn there. 15 again over here. I bet where these guys spawned it's 0 or 3. There's another 15. And it's 14 up in this area. 15 up here. Yeah, so there's nothing up here because the light levels haven't dropped low enough yet, even though it's midnight. 13, so he probably walked from somewhere nearby that's at less than... Yeah, like down here. Okay, you get the point, right? Chunks take forever to update their skylight values, and this can prevent systems from working properly. But even if it was working as intended, there's still problems with using skylight. Let's take a look at the chart again. Crops need a light level of at least 5 to get the bonus, and skylight is only at least level 5 for less than half of the day. Also, suppose you wake up in the morning, you replant your crops, and then you go exploring. Then you come back at night, when light level is 0 again. Well, the game only checks what light level it is when you come back. It doesn't know what happened in the meantime, so your plants won't get the growth modifier. That leads us into the second type of light, artificial light. Artificial light updates immediately, so there's no problems with it. Note that artificial light only comes from blocks placed in the world. Dynamic lighting that appears when you hold a light source in your hand doesn't actually create artificial light. It has no effect on gameplay besides making it easier to see in dark places. And that means you can't hire skeletons to light up your crops. Artificial light is split into 3 color values, red, green, and blue. Each artificial light source emits a certain level of these values, and each value decreases by 1 for each block away from the source. This uses taxicab distance, by the way, So going diagonally is going 2 blocks away. And light sources are full strength in every block their hitbox touches. So for example, this lumberjack lamp, you can see the black outline of its hitbox here. It actually extends into the second block here, and it goes up 3 blocks. That would be exactly the same as though it was a light source like this, where it's 2 blocks wide and 3 blocks tall. Artificial light sources can also mix their values. So right here next to this red crystal, it is 1497, but a blue crystal is 7913. So if I have both of them next to me, their combined colors are 14913. So what the game does is it looks at each value individually and just chooses the highest one. So you can't add 2 light sources together to make a brighter light source, but you can add 2 light sources together to make a whiter light source. Light can be obstructed with full blocks. This also applies to slabs. Even though they visually only take up half a block, they're still blocking this light. On the other hand, stairs are completely transparent and will let light through all the way. This is true even if their full faces are completely covering the light source. It looks like they've made this decision on a block-by-block basis, and there's way too many blocks for me to cover, so I'll leave that as an exercise to the viewer. Leaves are one example of a block that's partially transparent. So here I have a white crystal. It's completely unobstructed at the moment. Let me grab the light level, and it's 10. But if I put a leaf block in the way, it's been reduced to 8. And then if I put another leaf block in the way, it's been reduced to 6. So in my testing, I found that leaves reduce light by 2 per leaf block. Next, we'll talk about applications for light sources. But before we get into that, I want to let you know I'm going to give you some light radius values of different artificial light sources. And the game doesn't actually know what this is. I'm just doing the math for you, so you don't have to. You can just start using them right away. If you wanted to go into the source code to change it, you'd have to actually edit the RGB values and do the math yourself to figure out what those would need to be to have the effect you want on your crops. There's no such thing as like a crop radius. Speaking of crops, they gain a growth modifier when light is strong enough. So either skylight must be at least 5, or all 3 RGB values from an artificial light source must be at least 5. And there's no extra benefit from having both skylight and artificial light. When these criteria are met, the remaining growth time of a crop is divided by 2. This affects food crops, alchemy crops, and even trees. Trees are actually just crop blocks, and they inherit all the same bonuses. That does mean your tree farms should have artificial light in them, but I'll talk more about that in a separate video about tree farming. I define the light radius for crops as the farthest distance from the light source where crops can still get the bonus. And keep in mind this is a taxicab radius, so moving diagonally reduces the light levels by 2, so you get this diamond shape. There are 4 sources that have a crop radius of 8. That's the lumberjack lamp, the light temple brazier, the large white crystal, and the white crystal block. There are only 2 light sources with a light radius of 7, the medium white crystal and the winter light. There's several with a light radius of 6, including diamonds if you want to bedazzle your garden. In the 6th tier, my recommended is the Quebec candle because it's super cheap and made of renewable resources. There's a bunch more that have radius 5, including the lanterns. And then a crude torch is the cheapest that has a radius of 4. Next, let's look at grass spreading. Grass can spread to dirt of the same type. So regular grass and full grass can spread to regular dirt. Dry grass can spread to dry dirt. Cold grass can spread to cold dirt. And burnt grass can spread to burnt dirt. In order for grass to spread, any light value must be at least 6. This could be skylight of at least 6, or it could be any of the RGB values of an artificial light source. If any one of them is at least 6, then grass will spread. And so I define the light radius for grass as the farthest distance that activates a grass block's ability to spread. Grass will spread an extra block beyond this radius, but that grass can't spread. Some light sources will actually prevent grass from spreading out from underneath them. So for example, this Quebec candle, this grass will never actually spread from underneath it, but for this crude torch, this grass will spread out from underneath it. Since this is usually a temporary project, you go back and remove the light sources when the grass is done spreading. I recommend just using crude torches, and these have a radius of 5. And finally, void enemies can only spawn when all light levels are 8 or lower. They also can only spawn between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. So I define the light radius to prevent void spawns as the farthest distance where void spawns are prevented. There's several light sources with radius 6, such as the purple and red crystals, poison fruit, and winter wreath, and several more with radius 5, like the lumberjack lamp and the light temple brazier, which, if you remember, were also good for growing crops. But radius 4 is where it really gets more flexible with theme like lanterns and stuff. In general, it's pretty expensive to craft enough light sources to spawn-proof a large area, and you can just sleep instead, so I don't really recommend trying to spawn-proof with light and normal gameplay, but it's an option if you want to. In the description, I'll leave a link to a spreadsheet where I've tested every light emitting block in the game and calculated the radiuses for you so you can reference that. You can make a copy to sort the spreadsheet however you like, but I've also provided tabs on the bottom that are already sorted for each of the 3 game systems I've covered in this video. I'll try to keep this spreadsheet updated until someone makes a wiki page or something. I'm not that good at editing wikis. And that's everything I have to say about light sources in Hytale. Let me know in the comments if I missed something or you have any questions, and if there's any other useful info about light that I didn't talk about. My next video, I'll talk about game time, and these 2 videos together will serve as a foundation for more specific topics like tree farming. I would describe myself as a casual technical player. I like to research the underlying game mechanics of the systems I'm interested in before interacting with them in adventure mode. If that sounds like you, then subscribe so you can see my next video when it comes out. I'm committed to never using AI on my channel in any way, or in any part of my life really, so unfortunately you're stuck with my real voice. If you made it all the way to the end anyway, thank you so much for watching. I barely made it this time, and I hope you make it next time.